Hello, welcome, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Money Hour with Lakshmi. I'm your host, Priya Agrawal. And so today, Chanchal was supposed to join with us, but she couldn't since due to her health conditions. But apologies for that. And I hugely welcome you towards the Money Hour with Lakshmi. And in this episode of Money Hour, we are going to talk all about hacks to pay off your loans, right? So many of us may struggle in paying off our loans and may have difficulties in managing our debts. So we thought that why not keep a separate session entirely on hacks to pay off your loans, right? But before starting with the session, I would like to ask a few questions to my viewers. Like, how many of you have taken a loan? Drop your answers in the comment section below. I'd like to know, like, what's your financial situation like, and accordingly, we can move forward towards this session. Drop your answers in the comment section below. And there's another question from you, like, are you facing any difficulties or challenges while managing your debts? If your answer is yes, do let me know so that I can help you with some hacks in this session so you can, sail through this journey smoothly. Right. So let's get started. And in today's session, we're going to discuss a couple of things, starting with what debt management is, what is it, why is it important, what's the difference between good debt versus bad debt. So you must have heard about these two terms. So we are going to discuss in detail what it means. Then where is strategies that we can use to pay off our debts, considering the debt avalanche method and the debt snowball method. And lastly, we are going to discuss about the 15 hacks that you can use to pay off your loans, right? So let's get started and see like what debt management exactly means. So debt management may seem intimidating at first, but it's a very easy concept for you to understand. So let me break it down for you. So debt management comprises of two terms, debt and management. All right. So first term, considering debt means a loan. So when you consider debt management, it's a way of how you manage your loans effectively so that it doesn't create a dent on your budget, as well as you are also planning towards repaying it and moving towards your financial journey and achieving your financial goals. All right. So let's get started. And debt management is basically, when we talk about it, it's a way that you get your loan under control through financial planning and budgeting. So you must be having a question like why debt management is important, right? So due to debt management, when we do it effectively, use these strategies effectively, it helps in lowering our current debts or loans. And overall, it helps in eliminating it completely moving forward. So this helps us a lot. And a lot of people might face difficulties in paying off their debts, but there are strategies that you can use to optimize them effectively. Okay, so considering debt management, there are two types of debts that we see. So, anyways, before applying for a loan, you need to ask yourself twice that are you really in need of that loan? If yes, then you need to categorize them whether is it a good debt or a bad debt. Now you must be thinking like what's a good debt and bad debt? Are you Okay, so let's consider what is a good debt. So, good debt is something which helps you in increasing your net worth, or it helps you generate an income in some or the other way. So, it can be, for example, some example of a good debt can be an education loan or business loan, which can help you generate income, or a home loan per se. And in terms of bad debt, when we consider bad debt is something which depreciates the you invest your money, you put your money into something, and it depreciates in value. Suppose you take a car loan, for example. So the value of car depreciates every year. You spend money on credit card bills, you use credit cards, you spend money on it, and you pay an interest or something on that. So if you are spending money on consumables or something which may not pay you back in return, so that is considered as a good debt, that is considered as a bad debt. So whenever you are applying for a loan, what you need to consider is What type of debt are you applying for? Are you entering into a good debt or a bad debt? And there's one more thing also, that a debt can be a good debt for someone and a bad debt for the other person too. So a same thing can have different opinions for different individuals. So you need to evaluate what your current financial situation is, and then accordingly take a call of how you should move forward. Okay, for all those people who have joined in, drop a hi in the comment section below so that we can interact and learn more in this session of Money Hour. I'd love to chat with you all. So, after moving forward, when we talked about like what is a good debt and is a bad debt, so we gave an example of an education loan. So education is something which usually an individual considers because it increases their potential for earning. Okay, so it's usually correlated or has a positive relation, like when a person is earning and in with thinking of getting an education loan, they may have this possibility that after getting that particular, after availing that education, they may have a higher earning capacity. So before taking education loan also, it's considered as a good debt, but you need to evaluate like whether it's right for you or not. There are various factors that you need to consider. For example, we discussed in the previous session also, that was separately like entirely allocated towards education loan. Like you should consider the credibility of the institution, the whether the course is good or not, are you really interested in doing that course or not, and the financial situation. So based on these factors you may decide, and in turn it may turn out to be a good debt for someone and a bad debt for the other person. So, so let's see. We have Renuka. Hi, Renuka. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Divya. So we have a question from Rebecca. She's asking, like, how much percentage of a salary can be on EMI? So Rebecca, answering your question, you ideally 40 to 50% of your max. That I'm saying this, like 40 to 50% of this of your monthly income can be allocated towards the EMI. But it's always good to have lesser and lesser debts. It's very subjective from person to person, and if you need that particular debt, you can, but it shouldn't be more than 50% of your monthly income. Okay, so I hope I've answered your question. Do let me know if you have any more, so I'll be happy to answer them. We have another viewer live with us. Hi, Benita. And her question is, what is a good debt? So, Benita, I was recently discussing it. So, let me explain it to you in brief. So, good debt is something which helps you in increasing your net worth, or it helps you in generating income in some way or the other. Okay, so it examples can be education loan or business loan, for example. So let's consider that, for example, you took a loan for your business. Okay, there's always a risk involved, you must consider that. But if you really believe that the idea may work, you may take a loan for it, and if it works, that you are not only paying the EMIs but also generating the extra income from your business, and that way you are getting returns. All right. So this can be considered as a good debt. Another example can be an education loan that we previously discussed. Like in terms of education, if a person is really extraordinary, have a good are good in academics, and they think that after availing that particular degree or education, they may have a higher earning capacity, and the institute is good, and they are getting a good response towards that, and due to that they can take an education loan, and it can prove to be as a good debt for them because it helped them in a putting in them in a stage of a higher earning capacity. So I hope I've answered your question. Do let me know if you have any more questions. And now let's discuss. So now we have categorized what good debt and bad debt means. So overall, when we consider debt management, so everything is considered when we manage our debts, it's considered as debt management. So we have another question saying car loan or a personal loan is a bad debt. So yes, you're absolutely right. But the bad debt is something which differs from person to person. So there may be a situation, if a person supposedly So in general scenario, if we consider car loans and personal loans are considered as a bad debt, because there's a reason for it. So firstly, in case of a car loan, if we consider, the value of car depreciates every year. Okay. Okay, so when you have purchased that loan, the value is depreciating every year. So even if you try to sell out that car after some point of time, you may not get that return, or the amount of money that you have put in, you may not get that value exactly when you try to sell it off. So this is the one criteria. Now in terms of personal loan, if we see, so personal loan usually comes with a very high interest rates. So you must so for all the details, you can refer to our previous session. We have separately conducted it for on personal loans. But per se, when you talk about it, it has a higher interest rate of loans, and people usually take personal loans in terms of fulfilling something that they need in terms of a consumable purpose. So at that point of time, you need to evaluate whether you actually need that thing. Then you can go for it. It's an option that you can avail. But if you don't need it, you should shy away from, you should stay away from taking a personal loan, because it comes with a huge cost. Okay, so these are considered bad debts. But if someone, you may consider an example, like if someone has a car loan and takes a car loan and is into a a business of getting taxi services, or a way of providing taxi services, and he takes a car loan, or he or she takes a car loan. So what may happen is that the person is generating income from that particular source, and he or she needs to evaluate at that particular point of time whether the interest or the money that they are putting in, is are they availing more than that, is it getting are they getting returns more than what they are putting the money in. And if the answer is yes, then the debt is considered as a good debt because it's generating an income. But if it's the answer is no, then it's absolutely no, that you shouldn't go for applying those debts. Okay, so I hope I've answered all your questions. So now moving forward, as I was discussing, like what debt management, why is it important? So firstly, it helps you in fulfilling, in reaching a goal of lowering your current debt, and then ultimately moving towards eliminating it completely. Because anyways, if we are taking a debt, it's a cost, and for some people it may have that thing that they may have a stress of paying off that loans. So not all of us wants to have that particular stress on our mind before sleeping, right, that we have to pay our loans. So it's very you need to decide in a very careful, you need to decide, like, you need that debt or not. So that is one thing. And what debt management helps you in, if you are managing your debts in a nice or a good way, it is equivalent to a good financial planning. And if you are managing your finances in a better way, you are saving and you have a peace of mind, and this equivalents to a good credit score as well. So if you are managing your debts, you are making the timely payments, what happens is you are building up your credit score too. So ultimately, a debt management, if you have loans, it's very important to manage it effectively, and so that you can plan your finances and other goals as well. It shouldn't hamper your financial goals and shouldn't disturb the financial situation. Okay, so moving forward, we are going to talk about. Acha, for now, we let's discuss, like, if you have any questions, do put it in the comment section below. I'll be answering them like as and when they come. And for all those who have joined in, do drop a hi in the comment section below so that we can interact and we can learn together in this session. All right, so there comes a situation that people think that paying off debt is not an easy thing to do, and they may face difficulties in paying off their debt. So there are two strategies that are considered. So one is a debt avalanche method, and the other is a debt snowball method. Okay, so before explaining these terms to you in a easier and a simplified way, I would like to ask my viewers, like, how many of you have heard about these terms, or what's your view? Do you know anything about it, or are you looking forward to learn it from the basics? Do drop your answers in the comment section below. So I'll wait for some people to answer the questions, and then I'll move forward towards explaining it. So let me know whether you're familiar with these terms or not. So accordingly, I can explain it to you. So, firstly, let's discuss about debt avalanche method. So, debt avalanche method is something in which you have to follow certain steps. Okay. So what you can do is firstly arrange your debts in terms of the interest payments. So you have to arrange it from the highest interest rate payments to the lowest one. Supposedly you have a particular loan at a 14% interest rate, the other loan at a 10% interest rate, and the third loan may be at a 6 or a 7% interest rate. So you have organized them in terms of a descending order in considering the interest rates. So in case of debt avalanche method, what you need to do is um, okay, so we have Divya, Vinita, Rebecca. So I hope I can make these concepts of simple and easy for you to understand, and can help you in paying off your loans if you have any. And so as we were talking about debt avalanche method, so what you can do is firstly you have to organize all your debts considering the interest rates from in a descending order from the highest interest rate to the lowest. Okay, and you have to make the second step is you have to make the minimum payments towards each loan that you do. So that is the EMI that you are paying. So every month you have a scheduled EMI for all these three loans. But during the course of time you may happen that you may get a extra source of income in terms of you may receive a bonus, or you may have, if you are a freelancer, you may get some extra amount of money due to additional projects that you must have done, or any other windfall gains that may happen. So you can use that extra funds of money to pay off a debt which has the highest interest rate. So in case of debt avalanche method, when you organize these debts from descending to descending order in terms of interest payments, and you try to pay off that debt from here, try to pay off put some extra amount of funds in the debt which has the highest rate of interest, you are saving a lot on the interest cost. Okay, so interest is something which is a cost to you, and it's an earning from bank. So why not save some money towards the interest while we pay off our loans, right? So it's very important that this can help us lower in getting our borrowing cost lowered, and can help you save some extra bucks of money, right? So in avalanche method you do this, and this strategy it requires a lot of discipline. That suppose you decide that you have to put in one extra EMI, that is an amount equivalent to one EMI every year towards a sorry towards a loan which has the highest interest rate. So what you are doing here is you are just this amount will get deducted entirely from the principal. And this, so usually when we pay EMI, the EMI has two it consists of two aspects. So firstly is the loan amount that you have. So some part of it goes towards the principal repayment, and some part towards the interest. So interest is the cost, and when you can start paying off the EMIs in the beginning of the loan when you take, so what happens is you have the major portion goes towards the interest, and a very small portion goes towards the principal repayment of your loan. So when you are paying a lump sum amount, that you're prepaying some amount of loan every year, that amount gets deducted entirely from the principal amount. Okay, so this can help you in lowering the cost in terms of overall if loan cost if we see. So it's very important, and if you have certain extra amount of funds, it's good to allocate that funds towards the prepayment of loans, and you can have that discipline to pay off one certain amount of money every year. So you may consider things like 10% of your extra funds can be allocated every year towards prepaying your loans. So this will help you paying off your loans faster, and you may have a peaceful life overall in peace of mind. So one strategy is this, and the other strategy which we talk about is the debt snowball method. So debt snowball method is just the opposite. So what you need to do is, here you need to, first step is to organize your debts in terms of the amounts and from ascending order. So in terms of the smallest loan, you organize your debt. So from, supposedly, let me give you an example. So it comes with a aspect like you have a loan of supposedly 50,000. Then you organize the second loan, which may be of a 5 lakh loan, and the other is a 25 lakh loans. Just giving it a rough example to help you understand these concepts better. So in case of debt snowball method, what the concept focuses is on, usually organizing, paying off your debts, smallest debts first, and then moving on towards the bigger debts. So there are two types of people when we see in everyday life also. So let me give you an example so it becomes easier for you. So there are two types of people we usually come across. So one, who usually what they do is they take on easier tasks first and then move towards a bigger task. And the other type of person can be one who tries to complete the bigger task first and then move towards the smaller, then leave the smaller task towards the end. So what they are doing is that these two are different aspects, and these are related, this situation is related to these two methods also that we discussed. So when a person is trying to capture the bigger tasks first and then move towards the smaller ones, that can be considered as a debt avalanche method. And when a person is focusing on small achievements first and then moving towards a bigger task, they are considering a debt snowball method. So I hope you are understanding. Let me know if you have any doubts. So as we are discussing about the debt snowball method, so you must have understood, like, you have to pay off the smallest loans first and then the move towards the bigger loans. So here, it seems as a, it's good for people who think psychologically and who focuses more on mental peace, and they have, supposedly it may happen that a person may have a lot of debts. They may have an n number of debts, like a 4 or 5 number of loans on their heads, and every day they must be thinking that I have 5 loans, how do I manage that? So they can use this method so that it gives them a peace of mind. So supposedly if they are paying off two smaller loans in a period of 1 or 2 years, so they may have the peace of mind that, yeah, I have cleared two loans, now I have three more left to go. Okay, so this can be one aspect. And the other that we discussed previously was a debt avalanche method, where what happens is the person is trying to save a lot on the interest cost by paying off the loans which have a higher interest rates and then considering the loans which have a lower interest rates. So this is entirely upon you, like how you need to manage. And let me answer a few questions we have. So we have Samita. Hi Samita, hope you are doing well, and hope you are learning from this session and do ask all your questions. We have questions from Divya Shankar. She's asking which method is best suited for a person, and do we choose it according to the type of loan or situation? So Divya, this is a very rightly you asked these questions. So I was coming to that only, like, which is a better method in terms of a debt snowball or a debt avalanche method. All right. So there are certain things that you need to consider. So debt snowball and avalanche method depends upon whether we are looking entirely upon the psychological terms or on the financial terms. Okay. So if you are someone who focuses more on the financial aspect of it, so you can consider debt avalanche method and save on the interest costs, and overall lowering down the cost of borrowing for your loan. And secondly, if you are someone who needs small motivations to drive towards work, and you are someone who needs to think like, who is motivated towards small, by fulfilling those small achievements, and then move forwards towards the bigger aspects of life, then you can consider that snowball method as a as option for you. but there are certain hacks that we are going to discuss soon in this session, so stay tuned for that. And in terms of, see, if we are talking about in terms of saving money, a debt to avalanche method is always preferable, since it has, to pay off your debts on the interest rates, and it's targeting the most expensive interest rates debts first, and then are moving towards the loans which have a lower interest rates. So overall you are saving up on cost. But if you're considering the other aspect, like we see that person, you people get motivated towards paying off the smaller debts first, and regardless of their interest rate. So there are different types of people, so there are different types of strategies as well. Okay, so if you are someone who wants to stick to a plan, has to, want some motivation towards moving towards paying off their loans, then the debt snowball can be an option for them. Okay, so I hope I've answered your question. Do let me know if you have doubts. Then we have Benita's question. She is asking how to avoid debt and how can we be more careful and planned. Okay, so Benita, the key to effective planning and, avoiding that is effective budgeting and optimizing your incomes and expenses. Okay, so we're going to discuss a few hacks in the later part of this session. I hope it helps to you. And budgeting is always the first and the most important hack that you need to consider in terms of your loans. So as previously I told Rebecca also that, for more than it, your EMI shouldn't be more than 40 to 50% of your monthly income, because it then puts a dent on your financial plan also, and you may not be able to allocate enough money towards your other goals or the financial goals you may have. So firstly, you need to consider budgeting. You need to write down all your incomes and expenses on a particular place. You may use different options for that. One can be the Lakshmi planner. We have a Lakshmi planner, which is a very, portable kind of a single book, which consists of a lot of things which can help you in planning your goals, effective budgeting, and has a lot of challenges, and makes finance fun for you. So you can get that from our website. The other thing can be, you can use a normal paper pen method, or you can use an Excel sheet for it and manage your incomes and expenses. And now when you have written down all the details, you can consider options like where all can you eliminate those expenses. There might be some expenses that are not very important at this point of time, and you can avoid them or you can postpone them. So you can look for that, and this way it will help you in increasing the savings component of your income. So supposedly, earlier you must be saving around 15,000 from your income. So after cutting down on a few expenses, you may be able to save more towards it. So you may end up saving 18,000 or 20,000. So what happens is that extra sum of money can be allocated towards your goals, towards repaying your loan if you have any, or you may put it in your me account and keep it for yourself and your financial goals, apart from the other goals that you must be having. So that may be helpful for that particular point of time. So as we have discussed various strategies and debt avalanche, snowball, everything, so now let's come to the hacks, which is the main part of this session. So let's talk about it. So we are going to discuss about all the hacks that you can use to pay off your loan. So firstly is creating a budget, that we discussed, that effective budgeting is the key towards all your planning, and it may be underrated that, every time we talk about budget, but that's the first step. Because of optimizing your incomes and expenses, you put your money towards savings, you end up saving money, and if you are saving, you are investing that money you have the capability of investing that money towards your financial goals, and that can help you a lot in fulfilling your goals, aspirations and dreams, and achieve the life that, have the life that you want the way you want it. So it's very important to budget. And the next thing is paying off the most expensive debt first. So when we discussed about it, this is nothing but the avalanche method. When you are paying off the debt which has the highest rate of interest, you use that and save on interest costs. The other thing is that take advantage of the balance transfer. So balance transfer is something which is the facility available to individuals. So as we see that we have a lot of banks, all right, banks and the NBFCs, the housing finance company, we have a lot. So what you can do is, if you have a higher rate of interest on your loans, and you have the opportunity to avail a loan which is giving you a lesser rate of interest, and that can help you and save your cost, so you can consider the option of balance transfer. But here also be careful, there are a lot of costs associated with it. So firstly, you need to see that what if you are shifting from one bank to other, you are getting your loan transferred, what are the costs that you may incur, and overall how much will you end up saving if you switch. Okay, so firstly you need to see what is the overall difference in terms of the interest rate that you will save on. The second is, there's a cost in terms of processing fees in case of you switch the loan from one bank to other. The third thing can be a stamp duty. So you need to consider all the cost before taking a decision in terms of cost, and then evaluate whether you should go for a balance transfer or not. But this is an option that a lot of people may consider if they have opted for a loan which had a higher interest rate, but now they have the facility of availing it at a lower interest rates. So this is an important factor that you can consider. And the next said thing can be that paying more than the minimum balance. So something which we discussed before also. Supposedly you have your EMIs set in place, but you may have a facility or something, you may have a situation that you may end up earning more money. You may get a salary hike, you may get a promotion, or you may have some windfall gains, or you may have some money from any other source with a side hustle or etc. So you can use that money to pay off your loan. So you can use that extra funds by putting it into your loan account. So this amount will get deducted entirely from your principal amount, and hence it helps in getting the cost lowered. So if you want something, if you want to learn the math of how we can do it, how it affects the overall cost, you want to learn about it, do let us know in the comment section below. We'll keep a session entirely for it, explaining the maths and everything related to how it end up saving our cost and etc. So let us know, we'll plan something for you if you are interested to learn. And then the next thing can be, there are people who use credit cards very oftenly and may end up having a lot of debts. Okay, so this can happen, this may put them into a lot of debt. So there was a situation when I came across a situation. There were two people, one of them both of them took a credit card. Okay, so after the end of 1 year, they were in both of them were in two different financial situations. First one used the credit card effectively, and managed their debts as per, didn't use them for a lot of purpose, and used it effectively whenever they did. The other person, what happened is, she used it for all her purposes and didn't manage it effectively, and ended up in a massive debt trap. So at the end of 1 year, one was enjoying their life with a stable financial situation, and the other person was in a massive debt. So what you need to do is, you need to, if you are someone who is very oftenly use their credit cards, they need to manage it effectively, so that you don't end up having a massive debt at certain amount of time. And you must also know that credit cards comes with a huge cost if you don't pay it. So you need to save a lot of money. And we don't usually want people to, you know yeah, Rebecca, debt trap is real, and usually a lot of people face very big financial issues, and it causes a lot of mental stress too. So we don't want that. So it's very good to plan your loans and debts effectively, and manage our loans, so it can help us in further financial planning. And the next thing can be, you can use a debt repayment there can be different sites which provides you one stop solution where you can track all your debts and make all your payments. So you can use that. Some apps or websites that may provide you with debt management, tracking all your debts and helping you in manage those. So you can use that particular thing to track all your expenses and track all your payments in terms of debt and can manage it effectively. So the other thing is that then there is Rebecca very rightly said that impulsive spending is anytime bad, and that's true that there are certain times that we may end up going shopping and we may spend a lot, so we may not have that particular financial situation or that extra funds for that particular point of time, but we may think that, oh yeah, I have a credit card, I'll manage it next time. But that may so moving forward, if you don't put a lot of focus on repaying it, it may end up putting you in a debt trap. So these small things can cause a huge financial blockage in your financial plan, so you need to consider it very effectively. The other thing is I would talk about is that increase your income with a side hustle. This is another hack that we can use, that if someone is in a huge debt trap and is not able to manage the expenses, and we have seen during the COVID times also a lot of people must have faced issues regarding their job, they faced job losses, pay cuts, etc., and they were not able to manage the money because they have certain fixed liabilities to pay off or loans to pay off every month, and they need to take care of the essentials also. So in terms of loan, if you are seeing that, you may take up a side job or an extra part-time some extra thing which can help you in getting an extra source of income, and you can use that particular amount of money towards repaying your debts. The other thing which we can talk is change your habits. So if you, as we previously talked also regarding the purchasing, impulsive purchasing, so you can always change your habits. If there are a lot of people, when we see that they have a habit of taking loans, so they think that, yeah, they need some amount to purchase, they may take a loan, then they may take another loan. So this and the impulsive purchases also, so one needs to have a self control also what they need and how they can manage their debts, and that may help. So internally, a person needs to be very careful and take a wise decision whenever they are thinking of managing or applying for a debt, because it's a huge financial commitment per se, and it involves a lot of cost. And you may, when you see the math regarding when you take a loan and how much you are paying it as an interest rate, so there are situations when you end up paying a lot more than what you have borrowed. So this happens usually in terms of a long term tenure loans, that you end up paying a lot more than you have actually taken it from a bank or borrowed from a bank or an institution. So that is an important thing which can impact your financial situation. So be mindful of that. Then in case of it's good to stay motivated during this tenure, because it's a lot per se, right? When we talk about loans, it may cause you a lot of stress. So if you're someone who wants to stay motivated, who wants to do something that can help them in repaying their loans, they may also I would say reward themselves towards achieving those certain goals. So if there is a situation, let's consider, so there's a person who has around 3 or 4 loans with her. Okay, so what they can do is, if they have planned all, they are putting in extra sum of money towards their debt, so they can give them a small reward, give a small reward towards themselves after they have achieved that one milestone of towards paying off that one debt out of 4. So they can, this will help them in staying motivated, and they can so it shouldn't be like you have to reward yourself with a huge amount of with something which involves a huge amount of money, because ultimately then also you will go back to that particular situation of debt trap, right? So we don't want that, but small rewards are always a good thing to stay motivated. and move towards your financial goals and paying off your loans, because these are times which involves a lot of mental stress, a lot of financial commitment, and usually a lot of money. So a person, there may be a situation that a person, uh, I would say that sacrifices a lot in terms of paying off their loans, because there was a time that when they were taking a loan, they may not have thought of it a lot, and later on they may have realized that what is the actual situation that they are facing, and they are not able to pay it off. So these small motivations can always help a person in understanding and in moving forward towards their loan paying off journey. And the next thing is like you can always set your credit card repayment to percentage to 100% instead of the minimum. So there's an option to keep your credit card payments to a minimum, so it's always good to uh, pay it on a entirely rather than just paying the minimum, which can help you in managing your debt. There might be a situation that you may forget about repaying, and then you may end up losing a lot of money or incurring a lot of cost in terms of the interest payments. So you can save that and you can always pay it entirely. And the other thing is that always manage your financial plan. So that is why we say that debt management is very important, because don't think that if you have a debt you can't invest. Okay, so we usually face a lot of we usually have a lot of questions on the community, asking like, I have a loan and I'm always, a major chunk of my income is going towards repaying that. So what should I do? Should I consider investing my money, prepaying my loan, or should I do both? So the here the situation is upon you and your situation. So if you are able to save certain sum of money, you can always divide it into two and consider both the situations, because both are important anyways. So you can do the math also. In certain situations investing is a good option rather than the loans. If it's a lower interest rate loan, a person may consider investing also, but it's usually good to pay off the loans first, and you can allocate small portions of your money towards paying off your towards your financial goals. So for this you can use there's something, we have amazing calculators on our Lakshmi app. So you can use those calculators. We have a goal calculator. So supposedly you may have a goal of buying a house, you're buying your first house. So you can enter the amounts, whatever you have, the what is the time period that you are looking to invest for, and the goal calculator will very easily help you in calculating how much amount of money you need and what is the amount that you may generate after that particular point of time, considering the returns and the portfolio and the time period of investment you are looking for. And we have other different types of, I would say, calculators in terms of retirement planning and tax calculators that can help you in effective planning of your finances. So if you are someone who is watching this Money Hour with Lakshmi for the first time, do download the app. We are the money I'm the money coach at Lakshmi, and there we are always there to answer your questions. We have a community on Facebook also called the Being Lakshmi community, so you can join that as well and ask away all your questions, because our ultimate goal is that we want our women to take charge of their finances and manage them effectively, and have fulfilled and move towards fulfilling their goals, and plan their finances on their own. They shouldn't be dependent on anyone, and they should become capable of managing their finances. So our ultimate goal is that. So if you are a woman watching Money Hour with Lakshmi, do download our app and join the Being Lakshmi community. We'll be there to answer all your questions. And I'd like to ask my viewers, if you have any questions, you can ask your questions. I'll be happy to answer them for you. So these were some hacks that I wanted to share with you all regarding repayment of debts, and I hope it helped you. And if you have any doubts, if you have any questions, you can ask me right away. So I'll answer them right now. And the key takeaways of this session will be shared on the app, so you can download the app for more details of the session. And yeah, that's about it from my side. And I'll just wait for 2 more minutes. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. And let's see. Thank you, Rebecca, for joining us. It was like really glad that I could answer all your questions and makes these concepts simpler for you and all of the viewers. And for the people who are watching live right now, if you have any questions, do ask me. Do share your feedback. Did you like the session or not? And if you want anything, if you want us to conduct sessions on a particular topic, if you want to learn about something, do let us know. We'll arrange a session for it and we'll come live and answer all your questions. And yeah, so I hope I've, made this debt management topic simpler for you, and you must have learned from it. So thank you so much, and I think we don't have any more questions to answer, so I'll just wrap up. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And for more questions and anything, you can always download the app. We'll be there to answer your questions on a real time basis. And it's lovely to see you all. And there's one update from our end. Like from the next week onwards, we'll be having the money hour on Thursdays. The timing will be same, 4 to 5 p.m. We'll be there to answer all your questions. So do like the page also, so that you get timely reminders for it. And it was lovely to talk to you all. Thank you so much for joining. See you. Bye bye.